Athletic Dads, welcome back to the channel. We got a couple of Athletic Dads here about to attack week 7, day 1 of the Athletic Dad training program that comes out in May of 2025. We are switching things around here week 7, so we've had pretty consistent exercises of how we've programmed them over the first 6 weeks. Now we're gonna flip them. So after our sprint and acceleration work, we're gonna go into incline press where we have a top set of 3, we're gonna drop 5% and then hit a 10-minute density set, so accumulate a ton of really good volume with heavier weight on the incline press. Then we're gonna go into pause deadlifts, which is a new variation of the deadlift here for week 7. And then we're gonna finish with some accessories. We are no longer doing just isometrics. We're moving into the kind of isotonic realm where we're moving in and out of ranges of motion. What is your name? Trevor. Spence came in halfway through and really shook the place up by talking a lot of trash, so look forward to seeing that. But how do we feel about the program here in week 7?
Saying it's great. Finally getting back into the more traditional lifting.
Yeah.
So feels good. May 2025 gives you plenty of time through the rest of the year to get after it.
Heck
so
yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about Trevor has been doing a ton of Olympic weightlifting recently, so this has been fun for him to kind of just get back into the traditional compound movements for strength and hypertrophy, starting to put a little more size, little mass on. Dude, it's almost summertime.
Yeah,
so like
crazy.
if you're gonna be jacked and lean and athletic at any point, it's gonna be the summer. So when this program releases, it's gonna give you just enough time to get diced up and strong just in time for, let's say, June, July, August, when the weather is nice. Depending on where you're at, we're here in Cleveland, we got a couple weeks of nice weather, so you might be somewhere where you need this a little sooner and you need to stick to it more often. But this is a great session, as usual. Hope you guys enjoy it, and let's get after it. What do you say?
Let's go.
All right, let's do it. All right, we got a nice little warm-up done. Now we're into our sprints. So week 7, we start adding some of our top speed sprints. So just starting to extend the distance in which we sprint a little bit. So we're still gonna do some resisted acceleration sprints. This is gonna be focused on horizontal force production. So we're trying to get out specifically holding bounds for anywhere between like 10 and 15 yards. This sled, only one we have access to, probably a little heavy for this, but I'm trying to stay real horizontal, project myself out a ton, make really big shapes with my arms and my legs. So we've got 15 yards of these, and then I'm gonna drop this and I'm gonna go into a top speed sprint. We're gonna go about 30 yards for that. Depending on space, we have about 45 yards here, so we're gonna go 30 and then slam on the brakes before we run into the wall. But we've got just 2 rounds of this. Again, this is the first time in the program, 7 weeks in, that we're actually trying to get into our top speed. So by that I mean we're trying to get a little more vertical with a little bit more of the that vertical emphasis when we punch down into the ground. So we're gonna dose it in nice and light for the first day. We've just got 2 sets of each of these. So after this nice warm up, this is our first set of the bounds. So I'm gonna hit this, Trevor's gonna hit this, and we've got some of our top speed stuff. Just for context, warm-up was probably 15 minutes, and then we took 3 or 4 of those acceleration bounds to get warmed up to where we were feeling pretty good. Once you feel like you can hit that 90-95%, that's when you're gonna get into the actual working sets. So the actual work is only 4 total reps. But again, the idea is tons of output, 90-95%. This is gonna be our first sprint of 2. Again, we've probably already done 8 to 10 total reps or so. So we're going 30 yards here. Using kind of the same techniques, same idea that we did on the bounds. And then now once we get a little taller, really trying to get some speed going. We have some new timing gates coming in too pretty soon that we're gonna start showing, and that'll really gamify these sprints. But for now, we're just going as fast as we can, 30 yards. Yeah. All right, I'm trying to keep my intensity 90%, 95% or so. Again, if you've been sprinting a ton, been following the program, body should be pretty prepared for a 90+% sprint. So that's what I'm reaching for. Bounds here, getting out as far as I can. Really pushing hard through the ground. Get real long on these.
What's that?
Real long, horizontal and long.
Strides?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Just like you're bounding out of it. Yeah. Nice, good. All right, last one, coming back to the camera. Getting 30 yards, 90 to 95% here. first strength exercise of the day is an incline press. We're gonna go 3 working sets to a top set of 3, and then we're gonna drop the weight from that top set of 3 and do a density set for 10 minutes. So we're trying to accumulate as many good reps as we can in 10 minutes with that same weight, kind of resting as much time as you need in between sets. They can be singles, doubles, triples, however many reps at one time you want to take, but the idea is to accumulate a good amount of reps with that same weight, which would be a little heavier. I first started doing density set, density style training back in 2010, 2011 when I was CrossFitting. Getting a really good way to get a lot of good reps, but keeping the rest time short. And it's been really cool because I've seen them coming back a lot. I've seen density training coming back a lot. Will Rattel is one of the guys who's been doing a ton of density type training. And it's really cool to see him and see other coaches be able to use concepts from other styles of training. Again, I learned it back when I was CrossFitting almost 15 years ago and had a lot of success with it. And I like it in the Athletic Dad training program because again, allows us to work up to a heavy set, so we're getting a good strength stimulus there. And then we're getting some hypertrophy work by doing a lesser percent of that 3RM for plenty of reps. And also, again, one of the principles of this program is to be on a time constraint, and density sets allow us to be on a time constraint. So it just works, checks a ton of boxes, and just like we talked about with the sprints and like we've talked about on other videos, it's 3 working sets, but you might take, depending on the weight you're going up to, you're gonna make sure you're pretty warmed up before you get in those 3 working sets. So let's say 3 are programmed, it might be 6 total sets before you get to that top set. All right, we both like that last set as our first working set. And again, that's a feel thing, right? Once you've been training long enough or getting back to training long enough, you'll feel that the set was challenging enough to create change. And that's what we're looking for when we're trying to categorize something as a working set or a warm-up set. Fortunately, we just got a OVR VBT device over here. So as we dive into that a little more, the data will show me exactly what a working set speed looks like compared to a warm-up set. But right now, I'm just trying to, for a lack of a better term, collect some data, get a good idea of what weights move fast, what weights move slow, and kind of base things off of that feeling. But once we really figure it out, then we'll dive a little more into that VBT. So we're both on our second set here. And again, I love the incline for hypertrophy, for aesthetic reasons. Comparing that to the flat bench, I think the only thing that the flat bench has is bragging rights over the incline press. So you're probably not gonna go to the bar with your boys and talk about your incline press PR, but everybody knows their bench press PR. So let's change the narrative on that. Let's get the homies talking about their incline press PR after running the Athletic Dad program. Baseball players go 8 years without benching because they're worried about their shoulders.
Right.
And then they bench for the first time in 8 years and hurt their shoulder. And it's like, because you haven't been, right? It's like, that's the idea. All right, last set here, top set of 3, and then we're gonna put a timer on for the density set.
I know I'm not training, I just woke up probably an hour and a half ago, but I want to bring something that's really important to everyone's attention. I woke up and I started scrolling on Instagram as every lazy person does when they wake up late. And I came across a guy with an Instagram account called anti-dad bod squat or something like that. Pretty popular, got like 25K followers. And all I'm going to say is when this program comes out in May, buy it. Way better than this guy's kettlebell program. He might be good at the social media game, but he's not good at the strength training game. Peace.
All right, we hit our top triple. We're gonna drop 5%. All right, so not a huge drop 5%. We've got 10 minutes on the clock. We're gonna accumulate as many good reps as we can here. Idea is to kind of keep the heart rate up, keep the stress level up as we go across these next 10 minutes. All right, time started. And this is kind of gamified, right? Like you don't want to come out so hot that the last 5 minutes you can't do a single rep. So you want to take 1 rep, 2 reps, 3 reps at a time, and then kind of figure out where you can sneak those other reps in to continue to get more reps as you get more under fatigue, staying at the same weight. And once I figure out this VBT, then it will be obvious when I start to slow down. That was 0.8, 0.76, so I think doubles, triples are still good for now. Halfway, 5 minutes in. Trev's at 9 reps, I'm at 7. Last 4 minutes, we're gonna try to push the tempo a little bit, really kind of gas out, finish out the upper body, because this is the last thing for the upper body we have before we move on to our lower body and our jumps. Final minute here, gonna try to squeeze the last couple in. Bar path is moving, still pretty fast, but starting to really feel the accumulated fatigue. Nice little pump going, shoulders, chest, all feeling good. 22 reps for both of us currently. The goal was like 15 to 20. 25 solid reps, moving on to pause deads and broad jumps. We've got pause deadlifts, pausing below the knee, holding for a second or two before we finish extending the hips at the top. We've got 3 good working sets of 5. Again, a couple warm-up sets to start. And then once we get into the working sets, we're gonna pair these with broad jumps. We got sets of 2, 6 total broad jumps. Nice. Paired with the deadlifts, we've got horizontal jump for distance. So we're gonna go broad jump. We've got 1 to get a good idea of our mark, and then we have another one before we get to the next set of deadlifts. Shout out to OVR, because we just got their broad jump mat, and this is pretty good. I've had plenty of these in the last 15 years or so in different gyms. This has got a really good material on the bottom, and it sticks to the turf or it sticks to the speed lane here. So pretty good product here if you're looking for something to test your broad jumps. In the past, we've just used like a tape measure, but then you gotta tape it to the ground, you gotta move it all the time. This is great. You roll it up, take it to the office, you need to use it, bring it here, throw it out, it's all good. So we got 2, again, first one to get a good mark, and we try to beat it with the next one.
7-10. 8-6.
8-5, 8-6.
8-5.
Nice. Yeah. 8-2. Yep. 7-10. Final set here, 365, 5 reps with a pause. Really maintain that strong position below the knee. Stay super active as we're pushing through the ground. Big chest here.
Here we go. Yeah.
Here we go. Yep. Nice. Yep, hold that pause right there below the knee. Yes. Nice, one more, Trev. Yeah. Whew. All right, let's put a number up here.
Call it 8-11.
Gained a little ground. Trash. Let's get 9, bro. Be an athlete here.
Hey, there it is. 9-3.
9-2, 9-3. We didn't have the mat earlier in the program doing broad jumps, so this is good to have and just see where we're at. Here we go. Put a number up. Yeah, yep.
Hey, no.
Ah,
9-1.
that one, okay. Man, we gotta improve that.
We're vertical jumpers.
Yeah, right. Dang, come on, bro. 2 accessories before we get out of here. We've been building up our ISOs the last 6 weeks. Now we're gonna go from isometric to isotonic. We're gonna move in and out of these positions a little bit here. So we're going Nordics 3x5. If you don't have any way to do a Nordic setup, we're gonna do eccentric leg curls on a leg curl machine. We'll do sets of 5 there. Same thing, 3 sets. Make sure it's heavy enough to really apply a good stimmy to those hammies. I'm pushing off the ground once I get down, but I'm trying to push as little as I can before I can really get into the concentric portion of the Nordic here. Yeah, 2 more. Yeah. 30 seconds of the Copenhagen side plank here. If it's your first time doing it or have knee issues, you'll want to be a little closer to the bench, so more of your leg supported here. If everything feels pretty good, we can focus on those adductors. You're gonna get further away from the bench. So foot's gonna be on the bench, up in this side plank position. Gonna push your hip up to the ceiling. So you're trying to be super active through this hip. Push it up to the roof. Feel the obliques here. Feel the core. Feel those adductors fire. We're going 30 seconds aside. All right, then from there, you either flip to the other side of the bench or turn around, other leg. Week 7, day 1 of the Athletic Dad Training Program. Again, the program releases in May. Continue to practice gratitude, tell the people that you love them, and continue to live your life stimulated. See you guys on the next one.